Before I show you the cheat codes to becoming unstoppable, let me tell you a story. Now, if you were with me years ago, you would probably had been in the most depressed state as your life. I had no idea where I'm going, no direction, no purpose. Honestly, didn't even know my own skills, my talents, my gifts that were given to me by God. But I remember one day just asking God for guidance. And I got that guidance and I got that experience. And now you want to picture this. You want to imagine that there's a beam of light coming down to you and giving you this super sane charge mode. And I knew that I had a purpose. I knew that every single one of us has a purpose. And so I went on this journey to find out how to become unstoppable. How do I build more discipline? How do I become the best version of myself? Because guys, I was an out of control person. I could not control my behaviors, my thoughts, and my actions. And honestly, I could just say I was just going through the motions of life, but no more. Something had to change. I had to change. And so this framework has helped me change, and it has continued to help me become the best version of myself. And hopefully it'll help you too. So what's the framework? It's called the cheat codes. I want to give y'all the cheat codes to the game of life. I want you to beat the game of life. But in order to beat the game of life, you must understand an important concept. You must know thyself. You must do what the ancients, or even what the Bible has said, is you must go within, because the kingdom of heaven is within. So I want to start with the first letter of the cheat code, C. When I say go within, you have to go within. You have to understand you at your core. See, we all have a core personality. You got to understand a core concept. Your personality creates your personal reality. However you view yourself in your subconscious mind, inside your own mind, will dictate what you do and behave in your life. We can never outrun our self-image, our core personality. And most of us are born with great gifts, talents, and abilities that we still have not really tapped into. But a lot of us, because we have buried deep that core personality, we can't really access those gifts and abilities. You see, there's a scientific study that says that most of our core personality is formed from the age from 1 to 7. And most of us actually don't emotionally grow from that emotional stage. And so that core personality is the key to all personal change. See, I saw myself as defeated. I saw myself as weak. I saw myself as not good enough. And because I saw myself as these in my core personality, even though it's not truly me, because we're all good, we're all great, we all have abilities and talents that are within us. Even though that's not truly me, I acted out the core personality which I saw within my own mind. And that core personality led me to a life that did not serve me, that didn't feel right. Now, I want you to go inside. I want you to go deep and ask yourself, does this life feel right? Do you feel like that you are in the right mode, the right mentality, the right feeling state, the right energy? That things are aligned, that you are really truly living the life that you know you're meant to be? Or do you feel like there's something inside of you that's telling you there's more? You have to create more. You have to become more than what you are. Because see, I think a lot of humans have forgotten that we are not just humans, we're not just animals, but we are gods. We are the thing in between. And most of us don't like to align with our higher self, we align with our lower nature. But we need to find the balance and figure out what that gap is between the two of them, and realize who you are at your core, what you were God-given, what your abilities were given to you to put on this earth and to impact. Because you only get one life. You only get one life. And in that life, you should be living as fully free as possible. Now, you have your core personality. And when you can start to understand that nothing changes until your core personality, either it's about discovering your core personality, because I think it's already there, right? But you also got to understand that you gotta understand that we are not just the be, we're not just the I am, we are the becoming. You're not just this version of you right now. You also are in becoming the best version of yourself, becoming another version of yourself. We do not stay stagnant. Time continues to move on. We are constantly growing. That's what separate us from the animals. Animals cannot choose their path. They cannot choose what they become. A dog is a dog, a squirrel is a squirrel, and a bird is a bird. But a human being, he can be whatever he puts his mind to. Because the thing that separates us from the animals is our imagination. It's our God-given ability to creatively think. And so that leads me to the next letter of the code, the cheat code, right? So how do we change this core personality? How do we start to upgrade this core personality? How do we start to cultivate this core personality that allows us to become the best version of ourselves, that allows us to become unstoppable, that allows us to build more discipline, to have more control over the direction of our lives, to make us the captains of our ship? You must understand your operating system, AKA your subconscious mind. You see, we're all born with a supercomputer within our brains. And this supercomputer is always directing us towards who we believe to be our core personality. But this supercomputer can always be upgraded. You could always be learning new skills, but then also, what you gotta realize, it also can be downgraded. It can be downgraded. And so your job is, as this person, as this core personality, you need to understand that the core personality lives in the operating system. Because if you guys know about the 90-10, 90% of you are subconscious patterns. And we also know the other 10% is you, your conscious or rational mind. Most of us are only using about 10% of our brain's capabilities because we don't understand how it interacts with the 90%. So if the core personality is in the operating system, how do you start to upgrade your operating system? You see, years ago, I upgraded my operating system. Let me tell you a little bit of my gym journey. I used to hit the gym a lot. I used to be a gym goer back in the day, but I never had my dream body. I was stuck about 145, 155, around that weight, and I could never get to the higher levels. Not because I didn't know enough, not because I didn't have enough skill sets, but because my core personality wasn't geared for a person who was in the best shape of his life, who was an athlete, a gladiator, a warrior. As soon as I upgraded my operating system to see myself as that, that's when my body follows suit, because the mind and body are connected. But how do we upgrade this operating system, which ultimately operates our core personality? It's really simple. Simple, but not easy. Simple, but not easy. You must do and understand that you, sir, my good sir, have been given the dignity of free will. You see, you got to understand, guys. Every animal, every plant, everything on this earth, their goal is to become the best version of themselves. A tree will grow as large as it needs to go, as long as it gets enough sunlight, enough nutrients. The only animal who doesn't chooses to be the best version of themselves is humans. A lot of us like to think that we are done growing. We can't change anymore. How many times have you heard someone say, I can't do that? Of course you can. You're human. That's what separates us from the animals. You can do that. You have the ability to do that. But you choose not to believe in yourself. And that is a choice. Right? You see, you guys got to understand that we are the decider and the directors of our lives. And this is where the conscious mind kicks in, my fellow friends. As the decider and director of our lives, we are the 10% that chooses what the 90% becomes. You gotta remember, most of our programming was out of our control from when we were a child. From age 1 to 7, your core personality is created. Your subconscious mind has created a sense of me, an identity, the me. But you are always the I am, the I, the conscious, the present moment, the awareness, the consciousness that is here, because the past is gone and the future has not been created yet. But they are all saved in your operating system, all located in there, which is all the experiences that you ever chosen and experienced. Now, some of them were out of control, because we gotta understand, you're not the only one playing this video game. There's other people who are built the same way as you playing the game, trying to direct and influence your life, just like you're trying to direct and influence their life. So when you start to understand this, when you start to get a basic understanding of you, because the only thing you can ever change is you can't really change anyone else. You can only change you, and people will react to how you change. When you set boundaries, people may get angry. That's how it happens, right? But then at some point, they get over it. They get used to it. They adapt. So as the director, as the decider, as the conscious mind, it is your job to determine what goes into your operating system. And guys, this is the hard part that a lot of people are not looking forward to. And I've heard this happen to so many people I've talked to. They're like, oh my God, I have to be aware of everything. Yes, because everything matters. Even the tiniest decision matters, because it's all compounding. It's a law of compounding interest, right? Every step, every decision, every day you go into the gym, every rep that you take, it is compounding. And you may not see the results now. You're not gonna, because we live in the 3D world where it takes time for things to be created. Look at it in the sense of the seasons. We plant in the spring and we reap in the fall. Then the winter comes, everything's dead. It takes time, at least they say it takes 21 days to build a habit. I honestly think you should take 90 days, just like the seasons. But even more, 6 months for it to really fully form within you. So as the director, as the decider, if you're trying to upgrade yourself, improve your performance, improve discipline, understand that's not gonna happen overnight. It won't. It takes time for it to be solidified into your operating system and for it to become part of your core personality, part of who you are. This is a long-term goal. This is a long-term mission. You must understand that in order to have the rebellion of your operating system, whichever you right now, and understand this, guys, the 90% that is you will be fighting the 10% that is you too. When you try to build, when you try to grow, you'll notice I remember reading this book back in college. It was a psychology book. And he talks about so many people have a hard time growing because what happens is that we move one step forward, but we always move 2 steps back. And we're in this endless cycle of moving back and forth, but we're never actually making progress because we never stay on that momentum. We never allow it to fully compound over time. And so that's what you must do. You must allow it to compound over time. Understand it's like building a muscle, but not a physical muscle, an emotional muscle. It's something you cannot see. It is in the background of who you are. I like how this, if you guys, I mentioned this guy's name, Narrow Knowledge. Narrow Knowledge talks about this a little bit better. He talks about the old frequency versus the new frequency. When the old frequency, the way you're thinking and feeling, the version of you now starts to see you as the director who's trying to change the old frequency, the 90%, it will do everything in its power to survive. It will do everything in its power to survive. It will start to tell you all the negative limiting beliefs. You can't do that. You're not good enough. Remember that one time when you were a little kid where X, Y, and Z happened? But it's your job as the conscious mind, as the director, as the decider to understand that this is just a trick that operating system is playing against you. Remember, you are the decider. You are God in the flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and so everything that you speak out into this universe becomes part of who you are. I love how Nero talks about there are no truths but half-truths. Whatever you believe will be true to you. We're all living in our own universes, our own realities. We all don't think the same, but yet we try to make each other think the same. Ridiculous, impossible. We're all very unique, all born differently. We're a different core personality of who we are, talents, gifts, and abilities. So as the director, as the decider, you upgrade your operating system, you change your core personality, and you do this over time. But this is an important thing. I mentioned it earlier. It's very important. The language of the operating system, the language of your subconscious mind is simple, but not easy. The language is the subconscious mind only recognizes emotion. That leads us to E. If the language of the subconscious mind only recognizes emotion, how do we start to create emotions intentionally? Instead of letting life happen to us, we start to decide the emotions that we dictate. We start to master our internal state. And so when we start to master the emotional state that we feel, we can start to upgrade our operating system, save it in the body. And you guys understand the operating system, the operating system is important because it's understanding your supercomputer, this 90%, we were never meant to live in the 10%. That's why I think Jesus says, cast your net to the right side and not the left. When you cast your net to the right side, which is the right brain, which is the subconscious mind, you train your supercomputer to do the work for you. You see, working out to me has become second nature. Getting jacked has become second nature. I don't look at the scale anymore. I set the goal. I say, this time I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, let's do it. I don't even think about it and I lose 10 pounds. All my actions and behaviors start to adapt towards it. Why? Because I've gotten so in tune with my operating system, it's become easier and easier. Now, some skills require more time. This was a 2 to 3, 4 years investment, guys. Now I don't have to think about it because I've upgraded my operating system. And now I'm doing it for every other aspect of my life. Now it's going to take time, a couple years, guys. I'm just going to be honest with you. But in order to get the rebellion under control, in order to have full control of you, your code, you must start to dictate now. If not today, if not tonight, maybe to start tomorrow. But remember, the disaster process starts when you do not start at all and you allow things to happen to you. You allow your environment to dictate how you feel and how your operating system will run. But it's not only about emotion, it's about envisioning and embodying the new version of yourself. You want to think about it like this. You're an actor. And there's this, when you're an actor, what you're doing is embodying the character that you wish to play. So when you embody the character you should play, you start to see what they see, you start to feel what they feel, you start to act in the way that they act. You envision it, you feel the emotions, you think like the person, you automatically operate in the behaviors that just feel right. And your core personality upgrades with that identity.